We're going to talk about conversations and creating clients. Welcome back. This is a fun episode today. I thought I would do something a little bit different. I've been doing so many, covering different topics and such over the months and years. I thought something would be fun today to talk about social media and give you a little bit of background. I've been internet marketing now. I made my very first sale online back in 1989. Yes, that's 89. The big hair years. A long time ago. And ever since then, I've kind of been on the cutting edge of everything internet marketing, because it is such an important aspect of so many of our lives. If you're a coach, if you're an entrepreneur, an author, speaker, a professional, whatever, we have to use internet marketing in order to reach our people and be able to build our businesses. And like so many, I've done so much on social media over the years, and it's really hard to keep up sometimes because the rules are always changing and it's always a challenge. And I did all the courses that people put out. Not all of them. I did a bunch of them. I sat through the seminars. I went through the books. I read the blog posts and watched the videos. All the things that everyone else does, right? And for some reason, it's hard to keep up. And I think one of the challenges is because social media is not, we tend to look at it, we tend to think about it as being solid, secure, a foundation that is mature, but it's not. It's changing all the time. And a lot of the changes that are happening because they're getting feedback from their user base and they're making changes based on what they're seeing. And I thought, well, this is kind of interesting that this is happening. It's fun to see the migration. It's fun to see the growth. It's the changes. But man, as a marketer, it drives you crazy, right? You're trying to place ads and, well, this worked last week and all of a sudden that option's not there anymore. What happened? And I've been through all of that. And one of the things, I could talk to you about building groups and communities, and I could tell you back in, 2009, 2010, when groups first were a thing on Facebook, I said, the truth of the matter is the way they built them, you don't even need a website anymore because you could do everything. You could email everyone that's in that group. You could sell. You could do whatever you wanted. And the rules kept changing to the point where you spend all this money to build a group and you can't even post a link in it. They won't show it to anyone unless you pay them to get that link distributed. So it becomes very frustrating, right? It's like, man, I've spent all this time, all this energy. I did everything. I followed all the rules. And the rules just keep changing and making it harder and harder for businesses. So I'm lucky I didn't really give too many people that advice to say, hey, you don't need a website anymore. Just use Facebook. Create a Facebook group and everything's in there. That didn't last long. Probably 6 months before you couldn't email anybody in the group anymore. You couldn't send a message to everyone. And, all that is before Messenger came out. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, things are changing all the time. And our job is to try and keep up on it and try to figure out how to make social media work. Right? One of the biggest challenge we have is how do we make social media work for us? And, with this landscape that's always changing. So I really committed at the beginning of this year, through this COVID stuff and everything that's been going on, it's like, we've got to find different ways. Right now, I know a lot of people are really struggling business-wise. They're trying to figure out what they need to do in order to grow their business in an economy that's really tanking. It's not even like dipping. It's really tanking right now. Any of the numbers that you look at will kind of tell you that, right? Even the government's official numbers, which are way conservative to what's really going on, are telling you that the economy is not very strong. So we need better ways to promote, better ways to market ourselves, and we don't necessarily need to be spending a lot of money. And I think that's really the challenge that a lot of my clients are coming to me with. It's like, I want to do this, but I don't want to spend a ton of money. What do I need to do to make social media work? And I really didn't have any great answers because what worked 2 years ago, 3 years ago, let's go back to 2019, doesn't work anymore because the rules have changed. More people are on social media. They're tightening the noose because guess what? The social media companies are hurting too. Their ad revenue's down because companies aren't spending as much in advertising anymore. And as they make it harder and harder, fewer and fewer people. I haven't spent a dime since the beginning of 2020. I haven't spent a dime on Facebook advertising. And I'm not alone. I know a lot of my clients are doing the same thing. Like they're pulling up, they're not doing it anymore. So you got to look at that and you got to say, okay, so what are the strategies then? What works? And I really set out to figure that out because it wasn't easy. You're getting into this and trying to say, how can I inform the people that I work with what to do if I haven't figured it out, right? Can't teach what you don't know, so I need to learn. So I started to look at other people's courses. I started to look at what other people were doing. I started to pay a lot of attention to social media and the feeds and look at people who are promoting themselves on social media, not just Facebook, but all the social media platforms. And they're doing it in ways that are sort of what I consider to be a little unconventional. And it was really interesting for me because, you know, I grew up in the old school marketing days, Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, all that kind of thing, Ted Nicholas. I can go on and list all these marketers that I learned under many years ago in the 80s. And, you know, that was a great form of marketing, long form sales letter. And when the internet was new, that transferred very easily to the internet. Really did. It was not a big job to transfer direct mail marketing to electronic marketing. You use the same skills. You're still doing long form sales letters. It was one web page. Rather than sending a 26-page sales letter through the mail, you're putting people on that web page, and there would be your sales letter. And then later came, you know, we had the opportunity to do video and the same kind of thing. But it's changed so much now, and it is actually in many ways, this is going to laugh about this, but I was following this lady the other day, and she was showing what she does as far as marketing, and it's like literally have to unlearn everything that I've been doing for, you know, the past 20 plus years, have to unlearn it a little bit to be able to take advantage of what's going on now, and it's a very different world. And I'll give you a clue. The clue is in the word social media. What are you saying? What do you say? What do you mean? What do you mean the clue? The clue is in the words social media, right? So if you think about going to a networking event, right? How many have been to networking events? We've all been to networking events. Some people love them. Some people hate them. I always loved them. And I haven't been to one in years now because of, you know, what's going on. There just haven't been that many. They're starting to come back, which is really good. And what do you do in a networking event? You got to get as many conversations as you can, and usually they're like an hour or an hour and 15 minutes, and you know they're very short, and you don't have a lot of time for a long conversation. You get in, you qualify as quickly as possible. This is a potential client. This isn't. Move on, move on, move on. And sometimes the hardest thing is to get out of the conversation, right? You get into the conversation, easy. Everyone's eager to talk to you. The challenge is always, how do you get out of it? How do you cut it off? You know, so you can go on to the next person because, you know, time's ticking here. We don't have as much time as we would like sometimes in these networking events. So we had to get really good at that. And I thought, well, it's not very different online, although we tend to think of it as different. And one of the challenges we have is that we're able to hide behind our email, right? We hide behind our Facebook, we hide behind our email, we hide behind, and we can become a little bit anonymous. And I think it's one of the biggest challenges for people is to step out into the spotlight, and they don't want to do that. Trust me, I was there, you know, a long time ago. I never wanted to step out in front of the spotlight. You would have told me when I was 25 years old that I was going to be a speaker and I was going to be on television and radio and I was going to be doing podcasting, and podcasting, I wouldn't even know what it meant back then, but I was going to have my own shows. I would have said, yeah, no, that's not, you're talking to the wrong guy. You know, but I learned because I knew that that was one of the things I needed to do in order to get my word out there and get known and be able to enroll clients and build a successful business. And that's what you need to do as well. No matter what business you're in, you need to do that. So on social media, one of the interesting things is I've been doing this now for I'm going to say pretty much since the beginning of 2020 when everything got shut down. Spending more time on social media. And what I've been doing is engaging people in conversation. So posting posts that really incite people to answer, incite people to think, incite people to comment, right? Or share or whatever. And it's been kind of interesting because I picked up over the last almost 3 years now, picked up a number of clients from that effort. And you might say, well, what are you really doing? I said, I'm being social. Remember, social media, just being social. Being social means you start conversations or you have conversations or you join into conversations that are already happening. And a lot of people don't get this. They're like, I need to advertise, I need to promote. And rarely do I ever post a promotional post because there's no point to that because people are ad blind. You know, we've seen so many ads over the years on social now. We know how to tune them out. So when we see the ads coming, we don't even see them, right? They're in the feed. Or the second post on your feed when you're on Facebook is always an ad. We don't even see it. We scroll right by it because it looks like an ad. It feels like an ad. We're tired of being sold to. We don't do that anymore, right? What do? when we find a post that's interesting, we will stop, read the post. We might like the post, might engage with it. We might comment on the post. We might ask questions. We might put in our 2 cents. That will do all day long. And I thought, well, why couldn't that result in business, right? So I started to do that, not just in my own profile, because my own profile, people are already following me there, but I started to do it in groups, but not just on Facebook, on so many other social media platforms. I have accounts on everything. The only thing I'm not on right now is TikTok, but everything else I'm on. And, I've got conversations going in 15 different directions. And it's kind of interesting because you can start these conversations in a group. Doesn't matter who follows you. If you have one follower, you can still do this. You get on, you go into a group, you start looking at the conversations and jump in where you feel, it's appropriate. Conversations of things that are business related for me, or coaching related, or, people challenged by what's going on in our political spectrum right now. And I'll have these conversations with people. And what you'll find is you'll start to make new friends. I've made tons of new friends over the past couple of years, and it's really fun to see that. But a lot of those people, some of those people actually become, I wouldn't say a lot, but I would say some of those people have actually become clients without me pressuring them, without me trying to sell to them. Now, this is a strategy that obviously takes a little bit more time, right? You can place an ad. That's pretty easy. 15 minutes, you got an ad running. That's good. But we're ad blind, so we're not paying attention to it. Costs a lot of money. Ad prices have gone through the roof. If you've noticed, it's no more, 5 cents a click like Facebook. Well, Facebook was at 5 cents a click when I first started with it. And I remember when Google came out with ads, you could get 2 cents, 3 cents, 5 cents clicks, and there were other search engines that would allow you to do that as well. That's long gone. That doesn't happen anymore. It's so far gone. So either you have a lot of money and you can advertise, or you have a low budget or no budget, and you got to get in and you got to do the legwork. Well, the good news is it's easy to do legwork today. It's easy to engage in conversations. Something else I did, I went into my LinkedIn account. Everyone has a LinkedIn account, or you should have a LinkedIn account. And if you know anything about LinkedIn, there's an inbox there. An inbox is everywhere. I've got email coming at me left, right, center. There's a lot of inbox there. And I mostly ignore the inbox. And I've been doing this for years. Thousands and thousands of messages in there. I mostly ignored it. Last week, I said, let me take a closer look at some of the things that are coming into my LinkedIn inbox. Let me see, if there's any value to any of this stuff. And I would say 95% of it are pitches. People pitching you their stuff, and it's like, yeah, no. And there's a couple that came up, and I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. This is somebody I could probably do a joint venture with, or this is somebody who I'd like to find out a little bit more about their business. So there's a guy running a software company who reached out to me, and he's looking for somebody to promote the software. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I'm in marketing, I do that kind of thing. And I reach out with him, and we're probably going to set up a call for next week and chat about his company and what he's up to, and I'll see where and if I fit. If I don't fit, no big deal. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. But all of a sudden, just looking at this resource that we all have access to, all of a sudden starting to bring in new potentials, right? So blinders open a little bit and say, instead of ignoring it, let's go have a look, let's go see what's there. And what we find is, yeah, sure enough, there, you have to sort through a lot of email, a lot of it is junk, and you just hit the delete and go through it. But look at every one of them. And what I normally do is go look at their profile, see what they're really about. And I can learn from that. And I can say, okay, this is a fit. This is someone I'd like to be more connected to. Let's have a conversation. Write to them on LinkedIn. And for the most part, they respond. Not everyone responds. I think there are a lot of people like me who, just ignore that inbox. It's just that way. Sometimes I take a week to respond. It's not the same as email, surely. But you can be a little bit patient. You're not in a rush, right? And you can get in these conversations with people. I've got 2 appointments next week from people I met this week on LinkedIn. Who knows what'll turn up? But it's better than having nothing. It's better than having no interactions, no phone calls, no opportunities, right? And a lot of people are there. They're sitting on the sidelines. They're going, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I say, well, it's there. It's not so complicated. You can actually do this because we all have access to the same thing. And years past, I'll go back to the 90s. I'll go back to, the 2000s. My inbox always had opportunity in it. And I kid you not, I was so many emails coming in. I was getting at the time maybe 1,000 emails a day. And people say, that's a lot of emails. I say, yeah, it is a lot of email. But if I go through it, I always knew there were people I could sell to in there. There was always business to be had. And all I needed to do was find the time or make the time to go through that inbox, and I could find those things. Well, that's what I'm seeing now on LinkedIn. That same strategy is just there. It's not so much in my email anymore, occasionally, but it's not quite the same. Emails are very different today, but you're seeing those things come in on LinkedIn. So I can do a whole course on what to look for, or I could train people one-on-one what they should be looking for and the kind of pitches that really make sense to them they should look into, or they should at least connect with the person to have a little conversation. And it really makes a big difference because, the idea of being social is how you grow your business, how you grow your following. It's how you build your community. So you gotta be able to reach out. And I know a lot of us like to hide behind our email, and I used to do that too. But I realized, in 1995, it's like, this isn't going to work. I've got to get out. I've got to be the face. I've got to be in front of people. I've got to be able to speak. So I had to work through those fears, and I did. And now I'm comfortable on a microphone, comfortable on television, comfortable on stage. And, it's really given me a lot of opportunity that would not have come otherwise. So social media is there for you. You have it. You're on it every day. You might as well make the most of it. You might as well use it for what it's meant to be used for. It's kind of a fun place to be. It is an opportunity to have conversations you wouldn't have had otherwise with people you wouldn't have met otherwise. Most people really are using social media more now than they have been before. And I don't care specifically which social media platform you like. It doesn't matter to me, because people are people and they're on every platform, right? You'll find the different personalities, very different personalities on CloudHub, for instance, and Gab than there are on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. Very different kinds of people go there. So you got to find, your space. You got to find where your market is, and then when you're there, just spend the time there. Make it a point every day to go in and read posts and comment on posts and share, or at least give some likes, right? At very least the thing you can do, and be more interactive. So many people on social media are passive. All right, scroll. They never interact. They never do anything. Scroll. You're invisible. If you do that, you're absolutely invisible. If you want to stand out, if you want to get some business, you want to find some new clients, you can't be invisible. You got to jump in, right? Conversations are there. No one's saying you can't jump in. Jump in. Post a comment. Say, yes, I agree. Yes, no, I don't agree. This is cool. Thanks for sharing. And, very little things like that make a big difference. You start to get noticed. And especially in groups, when you start commenting more and more on other people's posts and eventually putting your own posts there, you get known in the group, right? And that's really what we want. We want to stand out a little bit. So that's how you do it in a nutshell, without spending a ton of money on advertising. And, it's possible to spend a little bit of time every day. I'm doing it now, and it's sort of become a habit now. And it's really producing some nice results. And I encourage you to, have a deep dive, have a look at it, because I think that's going to be a very valuable tool for you. Okay, that's what I wanted to share with you today. I will be back again next Thursday, same time, same channel. I may have a guest for you. I'm working on it right now. I'm trying to get someone in here. I think it's going to be real special for you. But anyway, join us again for the next edition of Coach's Corner, and that will be next week, Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, or just follow us and follow the podcast, or subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon.